What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of How to Make Your HOA Hate You. I'm your host, that guy that lives down the street with a super loud diesel. All right, everybody, welcome back. Time's finally come. We're gonna start working on this frame and chassis on the back half of the truck. So I've got the bed pulled off and put in the garage so it's out of the way. And we're gonna go over some of the products I'm gonna be using to hopefully bring this chassis back to the way it should be. And other than that, we're gonna get right into it. All right, guys, here's the products I'm gonna use when I get that frame stripped down. So I've got Eastwood's Rust Convertor, Rust Encapsulator, and then the 2K Aerospray Chassis Black. So it's a satin color, so it's not super glossy. It's really gonna mimic, you know, what it would have looked like coming off the assembly line. And that's the look that I want this truck to have. So of the chassis, really the worst, for some reason, is the leaves. And I'm just guessing it's the type of metal or the coating that was on them versus, you know, what was actually on the frame itself. But leaves are pretty ate up. Both sides really, you know, need some attention. And obviously, I'm sure it has something to do with them being open to the elements too. You get a little bit more hit from the sun too, the oxidation. This aftermarket gooseneck hitch. So this is pretty bad. So that I'm hoping to get looking significantly better. But the frame itself, guys, really, I mean, it's really not bad. There's a few spots that are kind of, you know, crusty, that being one of them. But really, I don't think it's going to take too much to get it back to where it should be. All right, guys, we are into the next day. Started to run out of daylight last night, so decided to call it a night and start hitting it again today. So Boy and I have been working on it probably for the last hour or two. I think you guys all pretty much get the concept of getting the rust off, so didn't really necessarily want to record all of that, but we'll say that these brushes come in pretty clutch. There's just some areas, if you really want it to look nice, you know, the prep work on the front side is key. So we were trying to make sure we got everything that we could reasonably, and I think we've done a pretty good job. So there's a few areas down there that we still got to get yet, but we're on the very tail end. Same thing with that end, and then the inside the leaves I think are really pretty much it. And then we're gonna hit this with some 80 grit, just try to give it a nice surface. And then we're gonna put the Rust Convertor, which after doing the research and what I've been reading, and Eastwood has got a ton of videos out on all their products. So if you guys aren't sure on when or how to use it, those videos are really helpful. But the areas that are just like clean metal, so like here for instance, or here, that is really not what the Rust Converter is meant for. So it's meant for surfaces like this. So we've already taken like the surface rust off, all the big chips and chunks, anything loose has come off. That is another good example. That's really where the Rust Converter is meant for. So we're gonna go through, we're gonna coat the mounting plate for the gooseneck hitch. We're gonna go through and do the leaf springs, and then a few areas of the axle that are just worse off than everything else. And then we're gonna let that cure about 24 hours. Sorry, I don't know if you guys are picking up the jets, but they're a little bit loud today. So I don't know if the weather's gonna cooperate or not. That's kind of why I'm not trying to rush it, because I don't wanna be down the road and just be kicking myself. So going to put the Rust Converter on first, let that cure for 24 hours. Tomorrow's supposed to be another nice day, and then I can hit everything with the Rust Encapsulator. And then I think tomorrow evening, late, it's gonna start raining, and it's pretty much gonna rain for the next 4 days. So I don't even know if I'm gonna be able to paint the chassis like I wanted to, but at least I'll be able to get the rust cleaned up and taken care of. All right, so next step, we're gonna get the last little bit of surface rust and stuff cleaned up, and then I'm gonna spray it down with a degreaser. I'm gonna be using some Simple Green, which is pretty much what I use on just about everything. But spray it all down with Simple Green, let it sit for a minute and do its thing, and then gonna hit it with a pressure washer, let it dry. Then I'm gonna hit the areas with some pre-painting prep, which is from Eastwood. And then I'm gonna paint the really bad areas with the Rust Converter and let that, you know, work its magic. And then tomorrow I'm going to paint the frame from the cab back with the Rust Encapsulator, and potentially, if the weather cooperates, I'm gonna actually paint the sides of the chassis and everything that's visible with the bed on with the chassis black. If not, then I'm just gonna have to put the bed back on and then wait until I get, you know, a nice weekend or something, and then I'll tape everything off and paint it then. So it'll be a little bit more time consuming. I can still do it, but might just have to not do it all at once like I had anticipated or wanted to. But it's kind of the downside, or one of the challenges really, of working and building a truck in your driveway. So this is something that you guys would run into if you're doing the same thing I'm doing. So that's after just one coat. You can already see it starting to bond with that rust, that chemical reaction. And it's already starting to turn, you know, turn black. And when they say, like, if you've ever watched the Eastwood videos, they say like this stuff goes a long way. That is no joke. I mean, this, I bought a whole gallon just because I wasn't sure how bad it was going to be and how much I was going to need. Sorry if the wind is kind of crazy, but I mean, I've used maybe like a cup total on all this. So I'm going to do a second coat like it says, and then I'm going to let it cure for about 24 hours. I'd give it 48 if I had the time. But we got rain coming in, so I've got to kind of get the ball rolling. So do a second coat on it and then see what it looks like. All right, guys, it has been about 20 minutes. We're going to put on a second coat, and then we're just going to let it sit for 24 hours. So I've been dodging weather for the last like 3 weeks. When I first started this project, between the wind picking up every single time I try to paint, or it just raining off and on, the weather's been like super unpredictable. So I guess that's just the way it goes when you're doing stuff in your driveway. This whole process is not a fast one. I mean, you can do it fast if you don't want it to look nice, but really, with painting and prep and stuff like that, the majority of that time is on the front side, right? Taping off plastic, really making sure it's going to look nice, you know, and that's really where I've spent a majority of the time. So now we're at a point where we can finally start spraying again. So that's a good thing at least. All right, so we are at the final stage of treating the frame from the cab back. So what we have done up till now is clean off all the scaling, hit the really bad areas. If you guys remember this area here, the leaves, hit that with the Rust Convertor from Eastwood, let that cure, and then hit the entire chassis and suspension with the Rust Encapsulator from Eastwood. And now I've got the 2K chassis black, that's a satin color, and that is going to go over, I think, the frame. Really, I think just the frame. I don't think I'm going to do any of the other components. So we're going to give that a shot and see how it turns out. All right guys, so this is the Eastwood 2K chassis black. That's going to be in the satin black finish. You can get it in gloss or satin. I think you might also be able to get it in flat. But I chose a satin. It's going to look a lot like the truck would have come off the factory with. Comes with a little red cap on the very top. And this is actually going to be a two-part. So you're going to mix that second part by pushing this in here. You have to put a little bit of elbow behind it, but that will release that second component in here. And then you mix it up really well, and then you spray it. I believe there is a shelf life for these, so like once you pop to this, I don't think you can just like set it on the shelf and then use it in a year from now. So just keep that in mind if you are going the aerosol route, that you know you don't want to pop them all at the same time and then risk having them harden inside itself. So let's see how it turns out. All right guys, we're at a point now where I'm gonna probably just put the camera down on time lapse. The wind is blowing the tarps and stuff pretty bad, so it creates a whole bunch of like background noise, I guess. That's probably not great to listen to. So I'm gonna just put the camera up. We're gonna try to get this last coat sprayed, and that way we can pull all the plastic and all the tape and everything off and really see, you know, that finished product. So let's do it. Alright guys, so finally got everything sprayed. So it's just curing right now, and just take a look at it.
Look at that, that's nice and shiny.
Like, it looks incredible. Stuff is super easy to apply. Obviously, if your weather cooperates for you and you're not doing it in your dang driveway. But other than that, went on super smooth. It looks incredible. Couple areas that I stayed away from because the components themselves are actually going to get changed out are the brakes. So calipers, rotors, all of that. I'm going to take all that apart and replace it. The drive shaft itself, I'm not really sure what I'm going to do there yet, but when I do the front of the truck, I can always include that later on. My big priority was getting really all the top of the frame, getting the hitch, getting all the stuff that's really hard to get to when I got the bed on. So drive shaft's really super easy, brakes and all that stuff if I decide to do that later on. Probably gonna end up powder coating them once I do replace the brake calipers, but either way, turned out super good. Yeah, I'm really happy with it. So I sprayed the frame rails, the leaf springs, and this rear cross member with that 2K satin black. I did not do the axle. I did not do some of the forward cross members, but I really wanted what was going to be visible to have that nice factory look. And then the other cross members are just done in that Rust Encapsulator flat black. So I feel like it gives it a nice clean look. The satin versus the flat, like it really blends together nice. So it's not like, you know, super noticeable. But it definitely has a really nice finish to it. And it applied, like I said, really easily. Really appreciate you guys watching. This whole process took almost a month. Like I think it was 3 weeks that I was battling weather and just, you know, time that I had to be able to work on it. So it wasn't a fast process by any means. I know the movie sometimes can make it look fast, but it is not fast. So I wanted it to turn out really nice. Definitely tried to take my time when it came to the prep work. So getting all of the like surface rust off, all of the big scale pieces, everything that I could to like try to set myself up for success. It's definitely a slow process, like I said. So I'm happy with it. I hope this motivates you guys to get out there and work on one of your projects, whatever that may be. I know we don't always have the most time, you know, and you know, money, obviously there's a lot of money that goes into, you know, working on these, but definitely is super rewarding, you know, little bit by little bit, getting that stuff done. So as you guys probably saw, I pulled the rear bumper off. I was trying to get to these steel supports to be able to clean them up, and the hardware that holds the skin of the bumper to those supports are actually stripped out. So I'm gonna have to cut that hardware out and replace it, and then I can clean all this up. I've also got the gooseneck hitch that needs to be finished up. I've done the top side, and I've hit the bottom side of the wire wheel, but I need to go through, put the Rust Convertor on it, Rust Encapsulate it, and then paint the entire hitch before it goes back on, as well as put the new hardware on. All right, it took 3 of these 15-ounce Rust Encapsulator cans to do everything from the cab back. So that was the axle, frame rails, leaf springs, suspension, all of that. I probably would buy 4 if I did it again, just so that I had a little bit extra. But I was able to get 2 solid coats on that surface area. But like I said, I probably would just buy 1 extra to have it. And then I used 2 full 11-ounce or 12-ounce cans of this paint, and then there's one that I have that is probably halfway full. So that was definitely enough to do the rear end. I bought the gallon of the Rust Converter because I really wasn't sure how much I would need or how far it would go, and I will say that I probably used maybe like 2 cups out of this entire gallon. It applies really nicely. It goes a long way, like they say. So I definitely did not need this much, but I will be doing the front end of the truck, and there's a few spots there that I'm going to use this on, so it was kind of nice to have some left over, and then I'm sure I'll have another project at some point that will need it. So just so you guys know how much I was using and kind of what it took me to get this for. All right, so next up, I've got to do the wheel bearings and upper and lower ball joints in the front, so that'll be coming up here soon. I've also got to reseal the vacuum and the power steering pump, so that's coming up here soon. And then I also need to coat and clean up the rust and all that stuff, basically from the point where I finished the back of the cab to the front axle. I need to do all of that, so that's coming up. So I still got a lot of stuff to do yet to this truck. Later this week I'm going to try to get the bed put back on, and that way we can get it back to closer to driving. So guys need to stay tuned. All right, I got a bunch of stuff coming up on the truck, and I'll have, you know, videos on all of this stuff. So hope you guys enjoy it. If you do, please click subscribe, hit that like button and the little bell and all that stuff, and yeah, we'll continue working on this together. All right, take care.